Hi, I'm Jeff Schubert, the host of Film Nut, here with a clip from our last live broadcast. Has net neutrality lost ground, or have we gained ground, or how would you describe the current?
Well, I mean, a lot has happened since the summer of 2008, good and bad. And we now have we have a new president of the United States since then who has spoken out in favor of net neutrality. He appointed a chairman of the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, who also is on record as being supportive of net neutrality. The downside of this sort of roller coaster ride has been that I think it was April, federal court circuit court handed down a case, Comcast versus FCC, which basically limited the FCC's ability to control issues surrounding net neutrality and internet service providers. The natural course of action at that point might have been the legislative, might have been getting Congress to give back the FCC some of that power, but there was a change in the leadership in the U.S. House of Representatives last fall, and it's been a cause célèbre among the Tea Party members of Congress and the House Republican leadership to limit net neutrality, and I think they've called it something like the government control over the internet, and it's been very, very difficult for even a favorable FCC with a favoring president to put together net neutrality regulations that really protect net neutrality as much as its advocates wanted to. However, they put together a series, the Open Internet regulations were promulgated in December of last year. It's taken them some time because of political wrangling to actually get them out into the, actually get them promulgated. But and they're under fire. A lot of people who were really real proponents of net neutrality felt they didn't go far enough, that they didn't limit the ability of internet service providers to control the mobile marketplace, that they didn't have, they weren't as strong as they might have otherwise been. Alternatively, the people on the other side of the spectrum were saying that they went too far, and there are already court cases that have been filed, and there's the matter isn't resolved. And,
what do you think will have a bigger impact on resolving it and moving it forward? Public awareness and interest, or which political party is in power, or some combination of both?
Yeah, I mean, those go hand in hand, and I don't know that. I think the Republican Party has been more aggressive in turning the regulations away and repealing them than the Democrats have to support them or to certainly expand them. And so as a result, I think the more the Republicans gain a foothold in either the Senate, or should they win the presidency next year, I think there's a danger that
real cause for alarm.
I think there's a danger that the regulations could be either repealed or.
Would you think it's? See, I see it as and again, you'll know more than I don't see it as the government wanting to control the internet. I see the government as wanting to keep big business from controlling the internet and forcing the little guy out.
There's a book that I want all of your readers to go out and buy and read. It's called The Master Switch. It's by a man named Tim Wu, W-U. It's a fascinating history of media and communications in the United States, and it talks about 100 years worth of parallel developments in the telecom industry, telephones themselves, radio, motion pictures, the history of television, cable television, and of course the burgeoning world of the internet. And in each case, the history of those various industries has been to start with a wide open playing field There were days when radio was something that, you know, any farmer could have a broadcast tower, and radio belonged to the people, belonged to the masses. The same was true in virtually every industry that I mentioned. And in each case, consolidating businesses merged together and used, you know, government influence, the marketplace, sheer corporate will to bring all of those industries under the control of a small number of privatized companies. And the internet looks to be no different. And there's the adage that goes back to, I think, Jefferson, who said, you know, liberty, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. And our sense with the open internet and with net neutrality is that unless the general public, unless the people who use the internet take care and monitor and are aware and engaged and activated, the same thing is going to happen, that a few very powerful multinational companies will end up controlling the production for the internet, distribution, exhibition, every stage of the process. And, you know, it's within their ken to do that, because that's the nature of, you know, corporate and the business mentality, which is to maximize profits, minimize costs, and that's an internet that's open where, you know, you can compete with Hulu, and where your programming can compete with the people who own the pipe. Comcast comes along, buys up NBC Universal, so that now they have not just the production means, but also the distribution channels. They're going to do what's in their interest to make sure that audiences at home watch their content. And
unless the public makes it enough of an issue to encourage a counterforce, if you will, then we'll get steamrolled.
No, and it's likely, that's certainly the natural course of events, and it becomes a case of standing idly by. You know, the aggressive tact is going to be taken by an anti-neutral net in favor of the control of corporate entities. And you know, your earlier point that what this is some force of democracy, namely the federal government, using its strength and using its ability to regulate businesses so that they don't become overly powerful. And, you know, it's like saying, oh, we shouldn't have traffic lights on a road because that's controlling people's ability to drive. And I think there probably are people out there who don't want us to have traffic lights. But it's that, to say that it's government control of the internet is, to me, that's the kind of comparison that's really being made.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a fear-monger technique to say the government wants to control or take over, when ideally, I mean, I hope I'm not wrong, the idea would be for them to ensure the neutral playing field.
That's the design. I mean, that's what the neutral net, the open net, is designed to allow. You know, you put the you in YouTube. That's, you know, right, to make sure that everyone has equal access to the distribution channels. Now, whether or not you're going to get as many people watching your video as CBS or NBC or the major producers will, because they have a
marketing,
big star. They have plenty of advantages that are already there, and the marketplace controls that. But then beyond that, if they also have control over the pipes, as it were, into your house. And it was one of the important things when Comcast bought NBC Universal, that neutral internet terms and conditions were put in to that merger, because the U.S. Justice Department and the FCC were concerned that there might be favoritism played by Comcast with the NBC and Universal properties. And speaking as someone who, you know, works in that industry and creates content, I certainly want my content to be out there and to be pushed as hard and as far as it can by the people who own it. By the same token, I also want you, Jeff, to be able to get your content out there, because, you know, I could very well be sitting in your place next week.
You can watch episode number 505 with Patric Verrone at thestream.tv/FilmNut. FilmNut live Wednesday nights and on demand Thursdays, only on thestream.tv.